This is your prophecy update. You've heard the term global warming originally, but when they couldn't prove that was heating up the earth to the point where they were going to have all these climate catastrophes, then they went to climate change. And now, since that's been disproven as a hoax, now we've moved on to weather extremes. The Guardian reports that the U.S. Federal Department of censoring use of the term climate change, their emails reveal they're censoring this. So the staff at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, have been told to avoid using the term climate change in their work, with the officials instructed to reference weather extremes instead. A series of emails obtained by The Guardian between the staff at the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or the NRCS, a USDA unit that oversees farmers' land conservation, shows that the incoming Trump administration has had a stark impact on the language used by some federal employees around climate change. A letter from Bianca Mobus-Clune, director of the Soil Health, lists terms that should be avoided by staff and those that should replace them. Climate change is in the avoid category, to be replaced by weather extremes. Instead of climate change adaptation, staffers are asked to use the resilience of weather extremes. The primary cause of human-driven climate change is also targeted with the term reduce greenhouse gases, blacklisted in favor of, let's say, build soil organic matter, increase nutrient use efficiency. Meanwhile, sequester carbon is ruled out and replaced by build soil organic matter. And then so you see what they're doing. They can't prove the original. People are getting alarmed. It sets off alarm bells. Oh, here we are with climate change again. So they've changed that. Rather than changing their processes and the way they're running things, they're saying, let's just change the name of it. Then in a separate email to senior employees on January 24th, just days after Trump's inauguration, Jimmy Bramlett, the deputy chief for programs of the NRCS, said, it has become clear that one of the previous administration's priorities is not consistent with that of the incoming administration. Namely, that priority is climate change. Obviously, President Obama and President Donald Trump, they're diametrically opposed on their opinions of climate change. And he stated, he was telling his staff, please visit with your staff and make them aware of this shift in perspective within the executive branch. In other words, these two presidents, they absolutely do not see eye to eye on global warming, which leads to climate change. President Obama was all for it. Donald Trump was saying it's a complete hoax. And so these people that are in these, the staffers of these huge organizations, they were saying, hey, we can't necessarily use climate change again because Donald Trump isn't for this. We're not going to change the way we do things, but we're just going to change the names of them. And Bramlett added that caution should be used when discussing greenhouse gases and said that the agency's work on air quality regarding these gases could be discontinued. So they got to be careful how they word things under the Trump administration. Other emails showed the often agonized discussions between staff unsure of what was forbidden. On the 16th of February, a staffer named Tim Hafner wrote to Bramlett and said, I would like to know correct terms that I should use instead of climate change and anything to do with carbon. I want to ensure to incorporate correct terminology that the agency has approved to use. So not necessarily that the USDA was going to change what they were doing, they're just changing the names. So the USDA's advice to staff on climate language is as follows. They were told to avoid climate change and to instead use weather extremes. They were told to avoid climate change adaptation and to instead use the resilience to weather extremes, intense weather events, drought, heavy rain, spring ponding. And, if they were in an interview or if they were writing a paper, this is the thing they were supposed to do. Avoid climate change. Avoid using the term climate change. Reduce greenhouse gases. They were not supposed to use that. They were supposed to say, build soil organic matter, or to increase the nutrient use efficiency. And then they were told to avoid sequester carbon and to use build soil organic matter. So my question is, why do you think they need to change the terminology? If it's real, why try to hide it? Because the global warming message is simply used by those who are pushing the global governing agenda, and some of them may not even have a clue what they're really doing. They're just doing what they're being told from on high. And this is the same global government that was prophesied to be in power at the time of the Battle of Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus Christ. This is the world government that was prophesied to be in power in the end time in Revelation chapter 13, and it's being established in the earth as we speak.